Howdy! Don't have a lot of time to put this out, so I'm gonna kind of speedrun it. Silver price is $24.54. And gold price is $2,191. Bitcoin price is $68,949, which is down a little bit. But then again, this is not financial advice. Please ignore anything I say. Moving away from finance stuff, this is a mix of a 2D and 3D game that these indie devs are working on. I don't know. It's pretty cool. You're in the game. You're playing on a little Game Boy as well as moving around in the world on the Game Boy. It's called Screenbound. Devs are at Screenbound. You can wishlist here. This is very progress. That's pretty cool. Here from guns.com/news, gun ammo sales translate to $989 million for state conservation efforts. Nearly $1 billion collected from a long-standing excise tax on the sale of firearms and ammunition will be available for the state wildlife conservation, public shooting ranges, and hunters' education. The funds, collected since 1937 through the Pittman-Robertson Wildlife Restoration Program, are mandated taxes set at 11% of the wholesale price of long guns and ammunition, and 10% of each handgun. This year's allocation to the states amounts to almost $1 billion. I'm not reading out the whole number, to be used for wildlife conservation efforts. The funds are apportioned via the formula based largely on the number of hunting licenses sold in the state or territory. The largest recipient of the 2024 allocation was Sportsman's Rich, Texas, which the Lone Star State allocated $45.7 million. By comparison, California, which has a one-third greater population than Texas, but has consistently whittled down the number of active hunters in the state via increasing regulation and public persecution of youth shooting sports, only apportioned $31.6 million. This revenue stream, controlled by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, can only be used for the benefit of public recreation and conservation. The funds are appropriated to state wildlife agencies, which must apply for them and supply matching local dollars. The typical grant is 75% funded by the allocation, met by 25% from state conservation agencies, with the latter usually drawn from hunting license revenues and facility entrance fees. The firearm industry is proud to know that the overwhelming majority of the conservation dollars are being reinvested back into state wildlife conservation and hunter education is derived from the Pittman-Robertson excise tax paid by our industry. Mark Olivia, Public Affairs Director with the National Shooting Sports Foundation, told Guns.com. Since the inception of the excise tax in 1937, over $25 billion has been generated when adjusted for inflation to ensure that all Americans are able to enjoy access to public lands, abundant wildlife, healthy habitats for wildlife to thrive. This is in the DNA of our entire industry. So, yeah, sure, don't like the taxes, but at least this one's going to something good. Something else good that we want to talk about is NASA is optimistic about resolving Voyager 1's computer problem. The last article was written by Chris Egger, and this one is written by Jeff Faust. Frost. Jeff Wendy's Frosty. A NASA official says he's optimistic that a program with the Voyager 1 spacecraft that has kept it from transmitting intelligible data for months can be resolved. Speaking at a March 20 meeting of the National Academy's Committee on Solar and Space Physics, Joseph Westlake, director of NASA's Heliophysics Division, said it appeared possible to fix a computer problem on the nearly 50-year-old spacecraft that has disrupted operations since last October. I feel like we're on a path now to resolution, he said. They're on the right path, and I think we're going to get to a point where Voyager 1 is going to continue alive and kicking in space. Spacecraft controllers first noticed a problem with the spacecraft in November, when the data transmitted by the spacecraft was unusable. Engineers concluded that the problem was with an onboard computer called Flight Data System, FDS, which collects data from the spacecraft's instruments and other spacecraft telemetry. Several factors have hampered efforts to correct the problem. Voyager 1, launched in 1977, is now more than 24 billion kilometers from Earth, which means it takes 22.5 hours for signals to travel between Earth and the spacecraft. None of the people who developed the FDS in the early mid-1970s are available to assist now, so the project has had to turn to documentation to help identify the problem. NASA announced March 13th fixing the FDS when a command called a poke was NASA announced March 13th progress in fixing the FDS when a command called a poke was transmitted to Voyager, and the spacecraft responded by sending back a readout of its memory. The agency said at the time it will compare that readout to the one transmitted before the problem to help identify the issue. Westlake said that the committee hearing that the problem appeared to be a corrupted memory unit on the spacecraft. It's a part failure on one of the memories, and we're looking for a way to move a couple hundred words of software from one region to another in the flight computer, he said. A word is 2 bytes. Wow. He did not estimate how long it would take to make these software changes. NASA, in its latest statement about the spacecraft, said that using the FDS memory readout to devise a potential solution and attempts to put it in action will take time. So, if you didn't know, Voyager 1 has been having some problems, but it's not completely lost. And now for something a little bit more down to earth. 5 University of Georgia sorority sisters saved mom and kids from sinking car. Absolutely admirable. Go away video. This is from people.com, and this article is written by Anna Lazarus Kaplan. 5 sorority sisters from the University of Georgia are being hailed as heroes for saving a man and her 2 children after the woman's SUV fell 135 feet into a creek and began to sink. The college students were en route from Athens, where the university is located, to Savannah for a girls' weekend last Friday when they came across the accident in Burke County, according to Fox affiliate Wagat TV. We were just kind of driving down in this part of Georgia, a very rural area, and then we were approaching a bridge that was probably like 2 stories above the creek below, Molly McCollum said to the news station. But after they observed a white SUV leave the roadway and roll over into the creek, the woman stopped. We kind of like pull over super fast, turn, go down this hill to the boat ramp area, and we see where this white minivan submerged underwater, McCollum said. The 5 women, McCollum, Jane McCardle, Eleanor Cart, Clark Jones, and Caitlin Iance then stepped into action. No more word. They quickly turned around, went to the crash site, and without hesitation jumped in the water and pulled the driver and 2 children out of the vehicle, the police said. Coy Kraft, the mother who crashed into the creek with her 2 kids, recalled the terrifying moment when she lost control with her car in the rainy weather. Wow, look at that. Let's see. I realized I was in the water. I was thinking I have to get my kids out. We saw the mom pop out of the car, and we were just like tag teaming, trying to get the children out of the water. McCollum recalled to WAGA TV. The smaller kid, he was 4 years old. He was like fully under for what we thought was, think about 4 to 5 minutes. Thankfully, Jones knew CPR from her previous work as a lifeguard in high school. I didn't have time to swim up to shore or anything, Jones told a TV station, so I just sat on a tire and laid him out on the side of the car that wasn't under the water yet and performed CPR. Then eventually he came to and started crying and breathing. It was a really surreal experience. Now the sheriff's office and Kraft are thanking the woman for their heroic actions. The quick thinking and bravery of these women is absolutely incredible, the police said. We are grateful you were in the right place at the right time. 1 week later, Kraft and her children are recovering from the scary accident and hoping to meet the woman who doubled back to save their lives. I really wish I could stand face to face with these girls and thank them for how much they actually helped me and my kids get out safely, Kraft told news station. We were able to be here today because of how they helped. That's awesome. That's really cool. This is also a bit of a call to action for you. Get familiar with CPR and other first aid, as well as that's what you can do if something bad does happen. But to ensure bad things don't happen, be careful when you drive. Keep your eyes peeled, head on a swivel. Alright, coming up next, we've got Wasay zaps microbes to squeeze more biogas from wastewater sludge. So this is a tech thing. Should have prefaced with that. Few people get as excited about wastewater as Thomas Fudge, and he has good reason. He and his colleagues believe they have found a way to turn sludge into gold. Wastewater from places like breweries and food processing plants can't be dumped down the drain. It has to be specially treated, a costly endeavor that happens off-site. Fudge's company, Wasay, is offering them an alternative. Treat the water on-site and get some free energy to boot. Harvesting methane from organic waste and using it to produce electricity or heat is nothing new. Companies do this not only to wring some value out of the sludge, but also to reduce their carbon footprint, since it can be used as a source of greenhouse gases when left to decompose on its own. Sending it through an anaerobic digester and burning the resulting methane can cut carbon company's carbon footprint. What Wasse isn't built is what Wasse is building isn't a typical anaerobic digester, though. The UK-based startup says its system is significantly smaller and can squeeze about 30% more methane from the sludge. Organic waste that can't be digested is 30% to 50% smaller in volume. The company's secret is electroactive microbes. They're absolutely everywhere, Fudge, Wasse's founder and CEO told TechCrunch. They're in the soil and the ground, they're in wastewater sludge, they're in anaerobic digestion systems, but they don't have the environment where they can really thrive. I combined slime sludge with thrive. Basically, Wasse built a contraption that make these bacteria happy. Okay, that's cool. There's really not much to much to say about that. Thanks, Tim DeChant, for that cool article. Alright, and then this is just a really cute video of a dog dancing. Not much else. Look at him. Look at him. It almost looks like he's doing that that one dance that was really popular a while back. The pimp named Slickback. What a cute little dog. Well, speaking of social media stuff, DeSantis signs ban on kids using social media. This is from the Tampa Bay Times. Written by Lawrence Mower. Governor Ron DeSantis on Monday signed a bill blocking most kids from social media websites, setting up an expected court battle that could prevent legislation from taking effect. House Bill 3, passed by lawmakers with bipartisan support this month, forbids kids 13 and younger from creating social media accounts and requires the platforms to seek out and remove their profiles. Kids 14 and 15 would need parents' consent. This legislation also blocks all minors from adult websites, requiring all visitors to prove their age before viewing content. Florida follows a handful of other states, from California to Arkansas, that have placed similar limits on kids' social media use in response to rising rates of teens' depression and suicide. None of these states' bans have yet taken effect, however. A coalition of social media companies are claiming that the bans violate kids' First Amendment rights to free speech, and I think this just kind of goes on to widen and complain. But no, it's a good thing. Your kids shouldn't be on social media. It's incredibly damaging. Well, kids shouldn't even have access to the general internet that isn't straight up for education stuff. And even then, that's got to be you got to make sure your kids are looking at the right kind of education. So this is a step in the right direction. Is there going to be some shenaniganizing with the courts and other NGOs and lawyers and all that? Probably, but hey, just because something ain't perfect doesn't mean it's not good. Alright, and finally, this story is just absolutely perfect, completely. There's not a single bad thing that happens about this. So from Fox2Now.com, this is Missouri news. Louie the Raccoon wins 2024 Cadbury Bunny title. A new Cadbury Bunny is crowned and is not your typical fluffy rabbit. Meet Louie, the 2-year-old raccoon from Miami, Florida. He's the first of his kind to snag the title. As a grand prize winner, Louie will star in the 2025 Cadbury Bunny Tryouts commercial and receive $7,000 in prize money. Man, there is a lot of little smokies that that little raccoon's gonna buy. In 2021, the raccoon's owner saved him after determining that he was unfit to live in the wild. Louie captured the hearts of fans on Instagram because of his friendly attitude and artistic talent. A St. Louis cat named Rorschach, adopted from the Belleville Area Humane Society in 2022 after being rescued as a stray, was also competing for the title. Rorschach, now a therapy animal, regularly visits nursing homes, schools, and universities in the area. This year's tryouts featured a bracket-style competition on Instagram, with pet owners worldwide. Worldwide. It says nationwide, but we're calling it worldwide, submitting their furry friends for consideration. Louie now joins past winners in the Cadbury Tryouts Hall of Fame, like Crash the Rescue Cat, Annie Rose the Therapy Dog, Betty the Frog, Lieutenant Dan the Tree Walker Coonhound, well, I don't know if I can say that, and Henry the English Bulldog. Is there really much else to say? Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day, and if you don't have a good day planned, I hope you plan to make it a good day. Hasta la pasta.
And we say bye-bye.